Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! Back when I was in college, I would come home over summer and winter breaks and work at a certain pretzel stand. I've been there for a few years, casually knew the owners, but we weren't on a first-name basis. Worked with their son when he picked up shifts. Great kid. One of the few insanely wealthy people who never acted entitled and worked hard when he came to a shift. And I knew that GM really well from the past few years working there. The GM of our two stores in one mall location had to take a month off for an injury, leaving two very dumb managers in charge. One refused to work anything but an opening to 3 shifts, 5 days a week, and the other would reluctantly do short closing shifts. Neither were competent at writing a schedule, and both just wanted to look good while doing zero extra work. To top it off, we had a slew of newbies, including the change girl. Don't get me wrong, I get it. Math is hard. That's why the register tells you the change to give to someone, but it doesn't tell you which pills or coins to give. GM texted me and begged me to work the second location as a sort of assistant manager and to come do some PM shifts to close up and do drawers. I agreed because he was fielding constant complaints from the two full-grown in their 40s adults whining about their schedules. However, I was blissfully unaware just how incompetent everyone was. Short AM shift manager hired the change girl with no interview. Other manager literally didn't bother learning names with his everyone do everything so I don't have to attitude. I started doing drawers and one was always off. Short over math on a daily report, not making sense. I pointed it out to both managers who ignored it. Then my shifts at our second and mall location kicked in, and the change girl became my second person in the AM whose job it was to come in an hour before opening, 1 hour after me, and run down to the main location to get restocking stuff and the change drawer while I made all the dough and prepped for the day. She was never on time. She couldn't follow a list and brought the wrong stuff constantly despite a very good cook working downstairs who would have happily helped. But nope, she's texting again. It started to make me sprinting around making everything, removing trays from the oven, dip pretzels in butter, rotate everything, pack up orders I was taking while she stared into space or confused drink cup sizes. Again, I couldn't take a break or clean up because she literally couldn't comprehend an order, and getting her to start cleaning anything was a Herculean task of arguing over why she wasn't supposed to have fake nails and how that wasn't a reason she couldn't mop a floor or wipe off a counter. It peaked when she walked away from an open cash drawer to ask me how to make 37 cents. Apparently my quarter dime 2 pennies wasn't adequate because she brought handfuls of coins over and asked me which one was a dime. She only had her dad's credit card. She's never used cash. She panicked and made me drop everything once because she hit $5 and a person gave her $10. I begged the AM manager to send help and she refused, instead scheduling a third worker for herself. It culminated with being scheduled to pull a 15-hour day with only change girl working for half the day. Idiotic managers sent out a message with a huge list of new cleaning and stocking expectations plus no empty store rule, aka I was not going to be able to go to the bathroom, have a break or even get anything extra done, and that was all going to be my fault. I was over it. I texted my recovering GM to please look at the schedule, my reports on the disasters, and begged for help. He told me to fully comply and just wait. So I maliciously and through sheer pettiness comply, and it's a nightmare. Lo and behold, change girl shows up, finally does a rundown to get restocking, and by then we are open with no cash drawer. I'm trying to serve customers and it's a mess. Suddenly the son of the owners show up, asks what's up and I explain. He offers to go get the drawer for me and does. Bring it back to me before Change Girl gets back. He watches as she finally returns another 15 minutes later and brings all the wrong stuff again. Doesn't unload, asks how to make change, and won't get off her phone. He leaves, and then the Change Girl's shift is over, and she's gone. I am solo while downstairs has 4 workers. The rest of the day is hell and nothing gets done. The AM manager comes back to the mall for personal shopping after her very short 4-hour shift earlier and proceeds to yell at me for the disaster just as the owner show up. She's pulled away for a little chat about her scheduling habits, and I talk to the other owner about the entire day's mishaps. Turns out that GM texted them a heads up and to go in today and see the camera footage. I finally get to go home after 2 workers from downstairs are sent to help. The next morning I woke up to the most glorious phone call. The AM manager will now only be working with Change Girl, and any discrepancy in that drawer being that manager's fault. AM manager has zero idea how to do literally anything except dip pretzels in butter and bag up orders. She doesn't know how to make the pretzels. Neither does a Change Girl. Both managers now have to do all their silly requirements they demanded the other workers do, and schedules were being taken over permanently by the GM on paid leave. I never got a crap schedule again. Change Girl got let go in 2 days. AM manager was fired in a week after the owner started monitoring her every day. The other manager kinda got their act together when our location was sent a temp from another store, and I got a raise as soon as our GM came back. Ho ho ho! Merry Christmas to you, my dear! I have a little story to tell you. It happened one Christmas Eve, when I was working at the mall spreading some holiday cheer. I was giving out cups of hot cocoa to all the good boys and girls and their families, when suddenly a woman bumped into me. And her name was Karen. And let me tell you, she was quite the handful. She got right in my face, shouting and cussing at me.
"Santa, you clumsy old man! Look what you did to my fur coat!"
I replied, "Ma'am, I am sorry. That was an accident. Please calm down." But Karen wouldn't listen. She continued to shout and curse at me, drawing the attention of other shoppers and the children.
"Do you know how much this coat costs? You're going to pay for this, Santa!"
she yelled. I tried to apologize and explain that it was an accident, but she continued to berate me, her face twisted in anger, her voice filled with contempt. I could see the disappointment and disgust on the faces of the people around me. Parents were trying to distract their children, and some were even taking them away from the scene. I didn't want to cause any more trouble, so I decided to try and walk away. But Karen followed me, still shouting and demanding that I pay for her coat. "Ma'am, I am sorry for the incident, but please stop following me," I said as I tried to walk away. But then something quite unexpected happened. Karen snapped, and she started charging at me. But as she did, she stepped on a spilled cocoa and lost her balance, falling flat on her back with a loud thud. All the people around started laughing, and even some of the kids found it quite amusing, some of them clapping and cheering. I couldn't help but let out a chuckle myself. It was quite a sight, and I realized that sometimes humility comes in the most unexpected ways. Maybe this was a Christmas miracle for this year. But I also learned that a Santa should always carry extra cups of hot cocoa from now on to avoid any accidents and to keep spreading the cheer. And that's my little story, ho ho ho! A reminder that during the holidays we should be kind and humble, and try to spread the love and joy rather than anger and contempt. And that even a small accident can turn into a valuable lesson. I, 20 female, live in student housing where I share a room. And in the other room are 2 other girls who we will call Sasha, 22 female, and Summer, 21 female. I share a room with one we will call B, 19 female. At first, B wasn't an issue and we all got along just fine. We were all friends and would go on fun adventures together. But the issues arose when she brought her boyfriend to live with us. At first, she said he was visiting for the weekend, but somehow he never left. He'd leave for work and come right back, and she expected us to sneak him into student housing after hours for her because Sasha and I had cars we could hide him in and drive him past security. This made us extremely uncomfortable because if we got caught, we could get academic probation and whatnot, but the kicker was that she seemed to be aware of all the housing rules and regulations around what she was doing. Later on, she started cat-sitting for her boyfriend as well, or that's what we thought. The cat would go to the boyfriend's house from time to time, but for the most part she kept it at the dorm. But as we could all guess, even more problems started to come out of it. She claimed it was an ESA registered through student housing, so we couldn't get in trouble for her bringing her boyfriend's cat over. Since none of us really knew the process for that, we assumed it was fine, and we minded our own business. Until one day the RA got wind of it. But because Summer, Sasha and I are friends with him, he let it slide because we were all under the impression it would only be there temporarily. Once again, it never left, and she never cleaned up after it, making the apartment reek of cat poop. It destroyed the carpet, one of my uniforms, and when anyone scolded it, she lost her mind because she read online that you're not supposed to say no to your cat if he wanted to love you, or some dumb nonsense like that. Anyway, naturally we were all tired of her nonsense. So Summer asked the RA for advice, where we found out there was no way this cat was documented through housing, meaning she broke the lease and we could get in trouble for the damages and it let alone being there. He said the cat had to be a minimum of 2 years old, fixed, and up to date with vaccines to be able to stay, which it had none of. We confront her kindly, and she turns into a soap opera scene with screaming and crying, which has been a pattern throughout all of this. She left messes everywhere, and when we asked her to tidy up after herself and respect others' common room items, she took personal offense to it, and so on. Our last straw was when she brought an ant infestation into the dorm because she left basically all of her pantry items open. When we called her to let her know we were tossing it all, she got mad and said that she would be over in a few. Which to her I guess a few means 3 hours when she was literally like 20 minutes away at her parents' house. We had a few friends come up and keep us company while we cleaned, and when she got there it was immediate crying and yelling about how we only blamed her because she's the youngest. Quite frankly, we were all sick of her, and sick of the fact that she was downright unapproachable. So we set up a mediation with our RA, which got changed to the community director due to the bias we had by being friends with the RA. Well, that didn't do anything, because she went and had her own meeting where she told a whole sob story and said that we tried to poison her with a raid and that the RA gave her permission to have the cat, which he didn't, in an attempt to get him in trouble. So, collectively we all decided on petty revenge after she moved back with her parents. We had my mom send a text on Facebook as a concerned parent to both of her strict parents of everything she did wrong and asked them to consider having a talk with her so she could see how dangerous it is to have a strange man living with a bunch of girls far from home who has nowhere else to go for safety in the event that he tried to do something. Since doing this, she has not been active on any social media, which she normally eats, sleeps and breathes on, and has left any and every group chat we had as roommates or with any mutual friends. I know what I did was petty and childish, but the three of us needed closure after the crazy show we lived through this semester, and I hope her parents rip her a new one for what she pulled. So, a while back, I worked for a country club, and occasionally we would have a tournament/game where people would come play a few holes at night. We also had other activities as well. Not only was it fun, but due to the abnormal hours, the tips were usually above average, so I tried to work these events when they came up. Another plus side was if you worked this party, you automatically got to come in later and were not scheduled for the morning shift. This time, when the tournament/party rolls around, we have some renovations going on. Due to this party being outside, we have to carry the things we need outside. However, no one thought of this, and the double bay doors we normally use were no longer available. They put pallets of concrete and old tile in front of them. It was not a fire escape door, so no biggie, I guess. Due to this, now we had to carry whatever we needed down the hall, use the elevator, and then go down a makeshift ramp that led to the basement so we could go out the golf cart bay doors. This not only disrupted the kitchen staff, but also disrupted the cart jockeys. If we were almost at the end of the tunnel leading outside, a cart jockey was trying to bring in a cart. If we were almost at the end of the tunnel leading outside, a cart jockey was trying to bring in a cart. He had to wait and vice versa for us, and the same thing went when we used the kitchen elevator and walk away. We started getting ready for the party around 6, and we would take the needed items over to the shelter and store them there until it was closer to start time. It took a lot of time due to the complexity of carrying/rolling huge tables around the entire country club, especially the elevator. Some of our tables were so big we had to shove the light fixtures up a little bit to get them to fit. Around 9 we were getting the last of the supplies when my co-worker Steve had the bright idea. Hey, it's been dark for about 45 minutes. Let's go out the front door. And since it's on the same level as our storage, we have no elevator or small hallways to worry about. Well, we take one load out, load it in the cart, take the second load out, load it in the cart, no problem. Right as we were loading the third and final load, our banquet/planning captain came rushing over. No. That door is for members only. You can't use it to load that stuff. I'm sorry, we figured that since no one had been golfing in the past hour, it was fine. Well, it isn't okay, and if I see anyone use this door for anything else, you will face disciplinary actions. You cannot use this door unless you are a member. Well, crap. We both proceeded to take the rest of the load out the more difficult way and then carry it all the way around back to where our cart was waiting with the 2 other loads. We drive off to the event and start getting set up as it will begin soon. What we discovered later on is that no one told the last cart jockey that none of us had a key to 1. Unlock the door, or 2. To lock it when we leave. So naturally we tried all the usual doors we could enter, even the one from the break room for smokers to use. Nada. Steven says, hold on, I'll be back. Runs to the front and lo and behold, one of the doors to the front was unlocked. Too bad it's for members only and none of us are members. The 5 of us decide it is worth the extra time to be petty. So Steven calls the banquet coordinator, our boss, and let her know. After much discussion, she realizes we cannot leave it at the shelter as it will most likely ruin our chairs and some of the wooden tables as well as the decorations we have, and she has to come in. By the time that we are finished, it's almost 4:30. It was a lot faster with no kitchen personnel or cart jockeys, but still took a while, especially with the added time it took her to get there. Well, guess who showed up at 4:30? Our general manager. He used the front door that we found was unlocked. He saw our boss and asked why she was here so early, to which she replied we were locked out, so she had to come let us in. Then he asked her why we didn't just use the front doors, since they were wide enough and unlockable from the inside, unlike the car doors. And this brought a hailstorm of rage upon the 5 of us. She came speed walking in her heels, looking like she wanted to turn us to stone like Medusa. 5 of y'all and none of y'all tried the front door? Really? Why the hell did no one check the bloody front doors before calling me? At this point I was like, oh no. Out of nowhere here comes Steven with, you said we couldn't use that door or we would face disciplinary actions. If looks could kill, Steven would be dead. She glared at him, then her eyes glazed over. She turned around and went to go get ready for her shift. There was never another word about it, but we all laughed about it for a few weeks. By the next time we had an event outside, the construction/restorations were complete, so we just used our normal doors to go out. The property is on a big slope and dug out. So what is the first floor on one side is a basement on the other. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.